Hello, Arkansas, and welcome to this week's edition of Arkansas Money Talk, brought to you by the team of Retire Path Wealth. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio, we have Dale Colclaser. He is the president of Wealth Management, and Mark Smalling, who is co-founder. Today's show is all about refinancing your retirement. Do you wonder if you might need to refi your retirement? What does that even mean? Stick around. That's what we're going to be discussing on today's show. But first, Dale, Mark, it's great to be back with you. How are you this week?
Excellent, excellent. Become a new grandfather since the last time we visited.
Congratulations.
So, big news out there.
And I understand you have some pictures that came in today that you're very excited to see them as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congrats to your whole family.
Thank you.
It is a family affair, I know, at Retire Path.
That's right.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, you've put together a fabulous show for all of you at home today. We're talking about refinancing your retirement. Now, here's the thing. As consumers, we are always looking for ways to stretch our dollar. And typically when people hear the term refinance, you might think about refinancing your car, refinancing your home. And most often people want to do that, obviously, in a lower interest rate environment.
Right.
But we have been in a higher interest rate environment for a while now, and with that comes some opportunities for you to potentially refinance your retirement. So before we go any further, can you define what we mean when we are using this phrase, refinance your retirement?
Well, kind of the idea is we've been in a scenario for the last 15 years where roughly 15 years, we've been in zero interest rates. For the last two, we've seen those go back to, and we keep hearing the term higher for longer. I've been saying for a year and a half, normalization. I think we're back to a more normal interest rate environment. Most of those of you that we're talking to today are going to be old enough to remember 10, 15% mortgage interest rates. And so 6 and 7 is still fairly low historically. But it's the idea that there are a whole lot more options on the table today than there has been in the investment world. And we're not just referring to only fixed interest type products because the investment world has been very creative for the last 15 years as well with the introduction of multiple other brokerage type of products that are more interest rate beneficial when interest rates are higher, put it that way.
Yeah, which I'm really excited to dive into this with you all because given that you and the entire Retire Path Wealth team are independent, you have all these different opportunities at your disposal. You're able to employ them for your clients. My next question before we get into the specifics is why is right now it important for folks to consider this? Why is this such a timely conversation to think about refinancing your retirement right now? Right.
Well, and what Dell was saying about interest rates being up, people have become accustomed to not making anything on their checking and savings accounts, and now they need to be a little more intentional about where money actually is and in their whole portfolio and take advantage of what's out there. Some people have done that because we've had people that have been shocked by they actually had to, pay taxes on interest that they hadn't had for the last 10 or 12 years. Now it's popped up, and in some cases a lot, where you're getting bumped up to the next tax bracket just because of the interest on income that you were receiving almost nothing on for years.
So talk about some of these options that are really beneficial for folks to consider given today's interest rate environment.
Well, and Chris, let's go back to kind of why is now important.
Okay.
A lot of that has to do with the fact that since we are earning more on those interests, and tax code is set to change in the next 2 years. We've talked for years about this window, okay? So there is the potential that this window closes, and when it reopens on the other side, everything is more expensive. So sometimes, just to be honest out there, that when we go and implement some of these refinance strategies that may be out there, there may be some tax consequences to that. The reality is the investment world has changed. We're moving a whole lot more now to ETFs, exchange traded funds, individual managed accounts, less reliance on the mutual fund world simply due to the fact that they're more tax efficient. Not that there's anything wrong with mutual funds, we're not bashing that.
Sure.
It's just that in certain types of accounts, I want to be more intentional with my tax consequences than what I may get from the activity inside of a mutual fund manager. Not only that, there are brokerage products out there now. Again, we always hate to use industry jargon and lingo on the show. We also hate to use that in our office. But for time constraints here, the aspect of buffered ETFs, or defined outcome funds, things of that nature, where we have some type of a guarantee base tied potentially to our options, simple checking accounts. You can't drive down the road without seeing a bank offering a CD rate that looks to be very attractive. Right. Folks, the other thing I want you to realize out there, that there are money market accounts today that pay as good or better rates than those CDs do, but you're not tying your money up for the 8 or the 13 months. We still have immediate access to those dollars. Right. So, and that's what I mean by the investment world has been extremely creative, that there are just a lot more options out there. Whatever banks can offer, folks, I can guarantee insurance companies can almost always beat those rates because we're looking at tying those rates to their internal rates of return, so their balance sheet, not just what the Federal Reserve sets. Right. And so there's a whole lot of what we'll call maligned products out there that have become much more attractive. Back to the idea that we're independent, is our belief is we're not going to take any option that may be beneficial to someone off of the table in conversations for where it is suitable.
Right. Yes, and that's the key. It has to be the right.
Right.
You know, it has to be suitable for that person and their situation there.
Not just suitable, but we are fiduciary first and foremost, okay? So again, we are in that best interest rule, not just the suitability world anymore.
Exactly right. And that fiduciary can't be stressed enough.
No, it can't. And that's where, you know, when we develop the plan and we're taking all these things in consideration, we're looking for the best outcomes, the most efficient outcomes for you, not just someone else. So we're trying to find out, how do we maximize our returns on all these dollars, minimize the taxes, and do that all as part of your holistic comprehensive plan.
Right. So if any of you out there today are just wondering what other options may be available, what is something that may make sense in my individual situation to put together my best option for retirement income living, please pick up the phone, call the number, scan the QR code, get an appointment set up. Let's get this process started. We're going to send out a data gathering sheet that you're going to get us the information back. We're going to come in, we're going to again discuss your goals and desires and how that actually relates to your own personal plan. We're going to help you develop your own option. Brought a copy of what we pass out today here that actually gives the instructions for how to do everything as we go through. It's going to give us a written income plan that shows sources of income from our different particular accounts as we go through the year to give us an actual picture of what's going to be done. And then we update that on an annual basis. But let's go ahead and get that process started today by simply reaching out and contacting us.
Wonderful. Dale, Mark, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, to receive your complimentary written financial plan, all you need to do is call that number on the bottom of your screen, 866-724-3893. Or if you'd rather not talk to someone right now, but you do have your smartphone handy, if you simply pull it out, you can open up that camera app, point, click, and scan that QR code that you see there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Retire Path Wealth will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary visit that way as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to continue discussing some of the positive impact that increasing interest rates can have on your finances and why not making changes in this environment could potentially cause problems. Stay with us.
I didn't start out in Medicare. Medicare is something that came along later in my career. I started with Northwestern Mutual as a college intern back in the early 90s, and I was with Northwestern Mutual as an advisor for about 12 years, and then I actually went out on my own after that. And it was actually when I joined another firm that needed somebody to get into Medicare because Medicare was going through a lot of changes. That's when I got into the Medicare business. And I became an intern at Northwestern Mutual through a college, job fair day. And there was the advisor for Northwestern Mutual out of Little Rock. The district manager came over with his recruiting specialist, and that's how I ended up as an investment advisor at Northwestern Mutual. So that's how I got into the game. The thing that I enjoy most about my career is being able to help people on a daily basis. I mean, to literally see people come in the office that are scared and there's a lot of trepidation about what do I do and where do I go from here, and having them leave with that weight lifted off of their shoulders. Making sure that everyone that comes in to our office leaves feeling like they've received something of value from us.
Welcome back to Arkansas Money Talk. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with both Dale Colclaser and Mark Smalling from Retire Path Wealth, based right here in Arkansas. Today's discussion is all about refinancing your retirement. A lot of folks don't realize that this increasing interest rate environment we have now been in for a while can have a really positive impact on your finances, and why not making changes during this higher interest rate environment can potentially cause a lot of problems. So that's why we decided to devote an entire show to having this important conversation today. I think we also need to look at the flip side. So let's first talk about some of the problems that increasing interest rates can have on someone's overall financial plan.
Well, we see that quite often when people come to our office. We were talking about this a little bit earlier about people earning interest on things they're not accustomed to earning interest on. Right. We've seen it actually affect the taxability of their Social Security. They've actually been pushed over the threshold where their Social Security wasn't taxed before, and then it's been taxed. Most people don't realize that the charts that they use to determine whether or not your Social Security is taxable, they haven't changed since they were introduced back in the 80s. So
and those haven't been accounted for inflation, which is so frustrating,
they have not,
right?
No.
None whatsoever.
Yeah. And up to 85% of your Social Security benefit
it can be
taxed.
Well, and the huge challenge with that is if you've got someone who is on the lower side of income, or just for need, and they haven't needed to touch. Because conventional wisdom so many times tells people, gosh, just defer those accounts out. The government's not going to make you take money out now till either you're 73 or 75, so don't touch that. Let's use your non-qualified funds for your living expenses, which in many, many cases we think is absolutely counterintuitive to what they should actually be doing. But so many times, and again, not to bash on CPAs, but the idea is that many time accountants are simply accounting for what you've already previously done, not planning for what you're doing in the future.
Exactly
and
right.
so that conventional wisdom tells them, hey, if we don't take that money out of the IRA, we're not going to tax your Social Security. And so you're going to spend less on taxes because they're looking at a small window, as opposed to looking at this large window that your holistic lifetime is going to fit into. The other side, and again, we've touched on this in the past about taxes, is if I'm married filing jointly, there's going to be some point in my life where statistically 3 to 7 to 10 years or longer, we're going to be living only on half or the same amount of income, but being taxed twice on that because we'll be in a single tax bracket.
Right, and once that happens, the tax brackets go in half, and then you're bumped up to that higher bracket.
That's right.
Yep.
And so, those, as Mark has mentioned, those higher interest rates are out there, can cause income that hasn't been taxed before to cause some negative effects on the tax situation. And so we're actually having less net cash flow, even though we have more money coming in.
Right. Well, and this is why, again, we say it on the show every week, right? How you make a decision in one area of your financial life can and will affect all the others. This is why you cannot afford not to look at your financial situation from that comprehensive, holistic point of view.
Some of the other challenges that come along with that is in most of your traditional investment allocations, this 60-40 portfolio that's been this other rule out there for many years, 40% of that portfolio for the last 4 to 5 years may have been actually having a negative return due to the fact that that is, in most traditional allocations, it's going to be in a bond allocation of some point.
Right.
Most of the time, it's going to be a bond and mutual fund, not in direct bonds themselves. So you've been subject to mark-to-market accounting, and so you've had a pullback in the return of those assets. Many times, those are the assets that people are actually drawing out on because they think they're supposed to be more stable.
Right.
And then, as you've been automatically reallocating, you've been buying back into these funds as they've been losing money, and they've not recovered.
Right.
Now, we're in a decent position today with some of those because rates have become a little more stabilized. But even BlackRock, the world's largest money manager out there, their 10-year outlook is 4% or less for bond aggregate. But somehow I can make 5.5 sit in cash.
Right. It's counterintuitive, isn't
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk now about some of the positives, right? Because clearly there's that other side of the coin with this rising interest rate environment. So what are some of the positives that folks can be excited about?
Well, as people get older, they tend to get more conservative anyway. So there are more conservative options where people can make higher interest rates on their money. So that does help. I mean, although we do have inflation, and inflation has taken a big bite out of, it seems especially out of retirees' pockets.
Well, there's just a lot of folks out there that have had money sitting in cash in different positions. I have my traditional checking account, which may have a much larger balance than it ever has had because it really, what other options are available?
Right.
So sometimes when we don't know what to do, the easiest thing is to do nothing. And so that money simply accumulates. Or I have that traditional savings account, which, interestingly enough, I see most savings accounts still out there at 0.5% or less because the banks haven't made those adjustments. Even though they're making more money on their money, they're not paying it to you unless you make some type of longer term commitment in a CD type structured investment.
But then your money's tied up.
That's right, to where the money's tied up to that. So a lot of people have the ability just to be a little more cognizant of the money they have sitting around to where they can utilize, as we've mentioned, possibly a money market style of an account to where I still have ready access to the dollars, but I'm earning those higher interest rates on those dollars and making my money work harder for me.
So to that point, do you want me to share the story?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because this was really, recent and very timely. So my sweet in-laws had sold a chunk of land years ago, and they didn't know what to do with that money other than just to leave it in the bank, in the checking account. It was earning 0.025%. I mean, something abysmal, right? So finally I said, Mama, because she's the one that handles the money for them, I said, we need to get you into this money market account that Schwab has. It's earning over 5%. We got everything moved over. Her first month of dividends, it was more than they had ever made in the account. Probably, when the cash had been sitting there in that 0.nothing% interest rate for years, and it was just we got to take advantage of this. And the benefit is the money's not tied up; they can get to it whenever they need it.
Well, not only that, there are a lot of short-term treasury options that are paying very well. There's a lot of insurance products out there that sit on a short term as well that are paying higher than above interest rates. And one of the benefits of a lot of those type of contracts as opposed to a CD is I do have access to my money at least on an annual basis in most cases.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's important to talk about annuity contracts, right? Because some folks, they have been in maybe an annuity contract, maybe it hasn't been the best fit, but part of this refinancing conversation means that there's other options that maybe they could even move and get a better situation, right?
That's correct. There's a lot of people that have annuities that they bought during the lower interest rate environment, so they're not making the interest rates they could today. So that's something that they should actually have reevaluated. If you're in a situation where you think, hey, this sounds familiar, I may not be making as much on my money that's sitting in cash, or I've got an older annuity contract or something like that that's not making the kind of interest rate that you should be today, we'd love to have you come in and help. And we'd love to evaluate that for you. And
it's really about a second opinion, right? That's really ties into this refinancing conversation.
Well, so many times people have put certain products, into their overall into their portfolio for a particular purpose. And the reality is that since interest rates have changed so dramatically, you may be able to go find a better option for that same purpose. Most of the time when annuities are done in, it's for some type of either principal protection or some type of a guaranteed income option. And the reality of it is the products that are out there available today have some of the highest guarantees that we've seen in 20 years for lifetime income options that are out there. That income can be secured for one person. It can be done jointly. Sometimes even if it's in IRA dollars, which the spouse doesn't even necessarily have access today to. A lot of those products also have guaranteed long-term care benefits that if I were to trigger 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, that my income can double. Sometimes even it can double even if that contract runs out of money. And I'm on the insurance company's dime that they're still going to be able to pay those additional benefits out there. And so there may be a very good option for that sliver of money that we would like to have a more guaranteed side of income for to be able to answer some of those questions better than we have been in the past.
I know it must just be so much fun to get to meet with folks and put these puzzles together for them and really help see, okay, there's these other options available. Let's see what we can do to make it better for you. That's what it's all about.
That's right. It's all about making it better for them.
Well, and being open-minded to what options are out there. Because again, our job is to let you know what your choices are, not to make decisions for clients. Okay, and I think that's many times understood. And so if you're one of those that's out there today and you're thinking, maybe there's a better way to do things than what I'm doing now, or I just haven't sought out and know what the expanse is. I refer all the time to, I'll never forget the day I learned the difference between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance is simply, I don't know what else is out there. And so if you feel you might be in that spot to where we're just simply ignorant to what options are available, we'd love to sit down and visit with you to let you know what may be available to improve your situation.
Wonderful. Dale, Mark, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, if you've never worked with a financial advisor, or maybe you are currently working with one, but they are not having these kinds of conversations with you, it's time to get a second opinion, and the team of Retire Path Wealth would love to help and serve you. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see what options might be available for you that you can take advantage of in today's economic environment. That number to call is 866-724-3893, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. More on Arkansas Money Talk right after this.
We got to know where we're headed to. So I always call it a target that we're shooting for. Critical pieces of that is, at what age do you want to start looking at retirement becoming a reality? And then simply, what do we need for income to continue to live the standard of living that we're either accustomed to or that we want to have at that point? It looks like having a written income plan in place so that you know over the next 20 to 30 to 35, however long that time frame is that you have a sense of security of knowing that you're not going to run out of money. The idea is I like to be as tax efficient as possible, but we're going to be very proactive and futuristic, proactive tax planning. And then once we put that written income plan in place and they can look down to the end and there's still positive numbers left, at the end of that calculation, that's the most rewarding part of it, because you're going to retire once.
Welcome back to Arkansas Money Talk. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with both Dale and Mark from Retire Path Wealth. We've been talking today all about refinancing your retirement. The reality is that in today's economic environment, there are so many opportunities, so many vehicles available to you to be able to improve your financial situation. And we were talking during the break, and we wanted to bring you all into this conversation. It's important to remind folks that this is not about selling products.
Right. Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate that. You know, I mean, we discussed in the end of the last segment, we were talking about some product solutions. I just want to always make it clear that our first premise is to build the plan. We're going to put the structure together. We believe any conversations we have with investments that don't come after the plan construction is basically kind of like committing malpractice. You know, people often come in and say, hey, I have X, what would you do with it? My answer every time is, I have no idea. Because I don't know what you need.
I'm not you, right?
That's right.
That's exactly right.
We've got to figure out what our needs are, and then we're going to come back and show you a wide array of options that are available, give you the information to make the best decision for what fits in your particular case.
And that's the important thing to help folks remember is that this team works for you. You're the boss, right? Like you
We're
said,
the fiduciary.
You're the fiduciary. You have that legal obligation to always serve the client's best interest. Your job is to present recommendations.
That's right.
But you get to make the decisions that you want with your hard-earned money. And I think that is a really, really beautiful, powerful thing.
Now we're going to help them guide through those decisions.
Of course,
Because again, that's one thing we often talk about too is the beauty of having choices is we also have to make decisions.
Yes.
And so we want to give you the information to make those decisions.
But this is what you do day in and day out for folks. And so that's where your expertise comes into play.
That's correct, yeah.
Well, in this conversation of we've been talking about today, refinancing, it's all about making things better for you. And I guess that's a great way to kind of sum up this conversation. After all, better is just better, right?
Well, you know, here's the thing is we talk about this all the time in our office, and this is one of Dell's favorite sayings is we try to get people from good to better to best. You know, that's it. You know, and so that's what we're always looking for, and it's different for every person out there. Sometimes people are just looking for a better income. Sometimes people are looking for a better lifestyle, better retirement. So it's really whatever that means to you. And that's really what we try to discover when we're visiting with you on the first meeting, is we're trying to discover what does a best outcome, best retirement outcome look like to you.
I love that. Good to better to best, right? That's what you want for each and every person. Well, I know that you all have met with hundreds of clients, hundreds of people throughout the years. I'm sure some of the folks who've come in to meet with you, that's what they've been looking for, is just getting a second opinion, having a second set of eyes, look at their situation. If someone is on track, how does the conversation go? What does that look like from your perspective?
Well, Chris, let's take a real live story of something that's happened very recently in our office. We had a prospective client come in. She has a particular concern, but we don't know that that's all the concern is yet, because she didn't let us know that in the first meeting. It was kind of an overall situation. We talk about concerns, come back, and in our second meeting, give some answers.
Right.
The honest reality is she had a particular concern. The answers that we presented, in her opinion, were not better than the option she had. Even though they resolved the tax issue that she was concerned about, her original concern was still greater than the tax issue concern. And so she says, hey, I tell you what, we're gonna leave this alone, but I wanna work on this area. So in many cases, I think that's a good analogy to that is, again, I tell people in every seminar when we finish and we do our invitation, and then I'll do the same thing here today, this is about as aggressive as we get. Is the idea is we just wanna present where you sit today.
Right.
Present you with solutions, and then allow you to decide what's appropriate for you. Because here's the reality. Many times we can't grasp the potential alternative outcome to something that we've always believed to be true from our other side.
Right.
And all I mean by that is I may have an ingrained, grandma always did it this way and grandma was okay. Maybe it takes the second or the third time to look at something to actually come up with the change.
Sure, sure.
And it's always your money.
That's right.
It's not ours, it's yours, it's your decision to make.
Yeah,
Right.
and I love that. And I have to attest that what you see on TV is exactly what you're going to get in person. You're seeing the real live example, and you guys bring such a great chemistry together. You have different strengths that you bring them to the table and are able to serve your clients in a powerful way.
Right. So just want to point out the beauty of having a written income plan in place to give yourself the ability to have the surety of what an outcome can look like, as opposed to just, oh, well, here's a 4% likelihood that this could come out, or hey, we have a 70% probability of that likelihood that's coming out. If that's of interest to you, we can show you that too. I mean, we have the same software systems available, but the beauty is we want you to see what the next 30 to 40 years can really look like, updated on an annual basis, and coming in and actually having a partner that you can work with as you move forward through time.
Dale, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to being back with you here on Arkansas Money Talk.